Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I, CA Samiksha Karnavit, on behalf of Nasik branch of WIRC of ICI, welcome the members of Nasik branch for our virtual webinar on Office on Cloud by CA Adarsh Madrecha, sir, Mumbai. I'll extend my warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for sparing your time with us. I would now request our branch chairman, CA Rajendra Shete, sir, to give his opening remarks.
Thank you, Samiksha. Today's speaker, CA Adarsh, was chairman, my office bearers, committee members, seniors in profession, professional brothers and sisters. Good afternoon and warm welcome to you on this special webinar on Office on Cloud. COVID-19 has changed our lifestyle and concept of work from home is widely implemented all over the world. Now is the time to think seriously on the topic Office on Cloud. And to discuss on this topic, today we have young, dynamic and experienced faculty, CA Adarsh sir. Adarsh ji, warm welcome to you at Nasik branch of WRC. Now I request CA Sanjeevan ji to introduce Adarsh sir.
Thank you, Rajendra sir. I welcome everyone. Welcome Adarsh sir to Nasik branch. Though it is a virtual thing, we welcome you like a physical seminar. Shortly, I will introduce C. Adarsh sir. He used to lead a supply chain transformation projects for E&Y for 6 years, and before that, his expertise was in SAP system audit at E&Y. He is well versed with Excel, Power BI, data analytics, among others. Jamku, which is currently the largest practice management software in India with over 1500 plus firms using it, is his brainchild. He has conducted more than 65 seminars till date on topics ranging from supply chain, inventory management, Excel, office management, and many more. He has started taking seminars at a very young age of 20, and he is also faculty for advanced ITT teaching for Excel and ERP with our institute. He is also active professional at forums like WRC, Chamber of Tax Consultants, with being IT committee member for WRC for 5th term and completing 4 terms at CTC as part of IT committee. We welcome you, sir, and we are very glad to have a young and dynamic speaker like you with us today. Hope all the audience will gain much from this seminar. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Adarsh.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Yes.
I believe I have screen sharing permission. Just a second. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Is it on the PPT?
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the confirmation. So very warm welcome to the webinar on Office on Cloud. And today is a good session. I hope we'll all enjoy it. And a lot of effort has been made in creating this webinar. And thanks all the committee members and the specifically thank you Rajendra ji to inviting me on this forum to speak and share my thoughts on this. Thank you. And we'll be covering today predominantly on the remote working and a practical guide on how we can enable our offices to work remotely. So let's start. And before, just a disclaimer, all the logos are a copyright of these respective companies, and any recommendations or suggestions that I shared today in this session are my own personal opinion, and consider them as an editor's choice, and use your professional skepticism while choosing or making decision on purchasing any of these solutions. So we'll today be covering, first we'll be starting on what system we should place in our office to ensure that there is a smooth work from home culture, or basically anyone can work from anywhere, and we have a smooth flow of information from one person to another person. Then we would move towards a practical aspect of assigning work to team members, that is the task management aspects. Then we'll move to covering on the efficiency. How do we track the team members' efficiency, and what are the some tips and tricks on that? Then we move to the billing module, because this is something I want to cover it in a small details, because any practice management seminar is half if we don't cover the money aspects of these practice as well. And at the last, we'll be covering the document management features, and that would conclude the today's session. I have prepared a polling site here. So I would request all the members to quickly open this site. They can open this site on a mobile phone or on your laptop, desktop, and keep it open. We will be having polls throughout the session. And let me just quickly copy this link and share it on the chat as well. So yes, I've just shared the chat, a link in the chat, and let me just start the poll. So first poll here today we have is to just gauge like the audience today, so that I can fine tune my today's session to these needs. Okay, so I believe that members have started participating into the poll. So we have about 23 participants today. So I would request everyone to quickly open this link that I've shared on the chat. And I'll just wait a couple of few seconds, and then we'll move on to the next question. So here we can see that many members today we have are in the practice in 5 to 15 period range, and we have quite few young members also today with us who have started the practice and been into practice for less than 5 years, and a couple of members who have more than 15 years of practice. Okay, moving to the next poll question quickly. Yes, there was some issue. So next poll that is live is what is the team size, including the partners? So now we have very fast voting happening. Thanks. So here you can see that almost 50% of the participants today who are here have a team size of about 1 to 5 people team, and 25% having a team size of 5 to 10, and then a few having a little larger team size of more than 10 and more than 20 as well. Okay, so we'll move ahead with this session, and you can keep the polling open. We'll be coming to those questions again in some time as we progress through the session. So having seen this agenda for the today, you might think that okay, we'll be covering practice management, and we'll be sharing some things around that. So you might think that why a young lad like me is coming here and speaking on this subject. Wouldn't it be good to listen to a person who has, say, maybe 30 years or 25 years of experience into the practice, and listen to him on this subject? So, and why would you listen to me for the next 1.5 hours? So let me just in the next 30 seconds quickly cover that part as well. And if you have any queries or questions, do post it in the chat section. I have currently kept the chat section open, so I'll be keeping tabs on that as well. And quickly minimize few other things here. So here's my first-hand experience, and first my experience came from my dad's firm. For about 11 years, I've seen my dad's firm go from 5 to 20 people team, and I've seen how the system evolves when the firm is growing. Next, during my articleship, I was lucky enough to be in a firm which was going through a phenomenal growth. In just 3 years, the team size increased from a 12 people team to a 40 people team by the time I left the internship. And I saw what problems the firm faced due to having stick to the old practices of managing the practice and not able to adapt to the changing needs of the practice. Then when I joined EY after my internship, and I've been with EY for 6 years, so I've seen the most matured systems in place. Where in EY India has about 25,000 employees and 100-year-old organization. How does the system look like? What are the best practices? That's the first-hand experience I have seen firsthand. Next experience that I've got is my interaction with the members into practice. Being active at WIRC for about 6 years now, I have interacted closely with at least 50 plus firms, and at Chamber of Tax Consultant, being part of the IT committee, I have interacted with 40 plus firms. I have seen their system, how they manage their emails, how they manage their team members' communication, what works, what doesn't works. And at my startup, predominantly we have a clientele of CA firms, and I have interacted and implemented a practice management solution for more than 300 plus firms. So these are the experiences that I have, and hence I would suggest that if you give us for the next 1.5 hour, I'm sure that you would love listening to this. So in this session, we'll be covering 4 things. First, we'll be covering way of thinking. How do you approach this system? How do you change your mindset, or what mindset you should have in order to reap the benefits? Next, we will be also be covering is the decision making, looking at the reports, looking at the dashboards, looking at the data that is presented to you on a day-to-day basis. What kind of decisions you will be taking up. Then, since it's a practical guide, today's session will be, of course, be covering some practical solutions to common problems that I have seen officers face. So what's the practical solution towards that? And then some tips and tricks, general tips and tricks to be shared here. And at the end of the session, if we have, say, 10 minutes, and I would also like to showcase a small solution at the end of session. So and I'm keeping it a suspense, so do stick till the end. So let's start with the session. I hope you enjoy it. So first we will talk about setting up of a system. Even though we are predominantly covering it this topic from a remote working angle or office on cloud, but some of these system tips or sections this is covered. It is also applicable for members who are also practicing from one single location and don't plan to have all the team members working remotely. So this is pretty much relevant for all the members. So the idea is to move from being people oriented to being system oriented. That's the goal that all the offices should have in mind. Having what I mean by people oriented is that, say, suppose if I want to know which are the detailed signatures which are expiring in my office for this current month, and ask the team members to renew those detailed signatures, I don't have to rely on a team member who will be going through all the detailed signatures, then coming up with the list, and then start doing this. There should be a system in place whereby a team member is designated who would basically review all the detailed signatures which are going to expire, and automatically assign those tasks to the junior team member or admin team staff and get that all the detailed signatures renewed. So that's the movement that we are aspiring to be, moving from people oriented to system oriented. And trust me, getting there is not a one giant leap. We all have to plan that, okay, this is what we are and this is where we want to reach, and then plan our steps accordingly. Like we will move one maturity model at a time, and all these goal set will help us to even celebrate. So say suppose if we have moved our certain procedure or certain way of working to a more better system, then we can know that, okay, we have reached our second milestone, which we have reached the third milestone, and this will give us more impetus to further go on improving, further go on moving ahead, taking that extra effort, taking that extra pain, and moving towards the end goal. So it's important that we have a concrete plan towards this, and this plan has to be set up in the right direction. And it need not be a very short term plan of 2 months or 3 months. It could be depending upon the office requirements, or depending upon the office speed at that the team members can adopt the changes. It can be a 1 year plan. It can be even be a high as 1.5 year plan, where you would say that this is what we are today, and in 1 year we want to reach here, and then set up the milestones, saying that this process will get at this shape in after say 20 days, 1 month, or 1.5 months. So like this. So setting up the goal post is very much important. So this is the most important information that I want to share here, and I believe that everyone has the most focus at the start of the session. So let's let's plunge into the most important section of these today session. Like whenever you're setting up a system, you would be looking at these 8 aspects or 8 features in a system. So let's start by first is the managed sharing. We need to share the engagement details with the team members who are working and reviewing the work. But at the same time, the access should be on the basis of need to know basis. In current time, the client is expecting the highest level of confidentiality, and we already have a data privacy protection law which is there in the parliament, and soon we are expecting that to be converted into a law. It's currently in the bill format, and it's undergoing a review. So you should set up a system in such a way that it respects client confidentiality, and at the same time it does not becomes a hindrance for the team members to work on that actual engagement. This is specifically true for a larger office where not all the team members in the office would be working on a particular client. So this becomes a very much important point. Next, when we move to the bird's eye view, having a bird's eye view helps in keeping our office on track. So the system should be able to tell us at the high level which areas require our attention. Only on those areas we would deep dive and check out what is the exact issue, and this will help us to save a lot of amount of time. And so say suppose if you are reviewing a dashboard, and if you come to know, okay, these are the 80 areas, 80% of the area which are going smooth, and this is only 20% of the area which requires your attention. So only deep dive into that area, need not go into the nitty-gritty details of each and every aspect. And helping us save time can either we can invest it into improving our clients deliverables, or of course, why not we can invest our time into our passion, our hobby. So that's about the bird's eye view. Next, say suppose if you want to know the count of GSTR 3B that you do on a monthly basis. So how do you calculate, or how do you go and check? So this is just a question. We will go back to the poll and see what's the team members answer is. So I'll just repeat the question again, that if you want to know how many GSTR 3B return filing you do on a monthly basis, so you would just go to that Excel file, or maybe you will ask a team member, or you know it yourself, or you have an Excel file where the list is mentioned. So how confident that you are when you see that list, that say suppose there are just 80 clients, or just 50 clients, or just 140 clients, how confident that you are that the count that you are seeing there in the list. So I'll wait for few more participants who had participated earlier in the before questions. And in case anyone have, I guess, question not able to vote as Quick Heal is blocking, so I will suggest that you can quickly open the link in the mobile app. I'm not sure why Quick Heal would block this site. It's a quite popular site, directpoll.com. So you can vote it on your mobile as well. Okay, so I guess most of the participants have voted here. So first of all, I'm very much happy to see that a 33% voting that they have a perfect system, and they are almost 100% confident on the count or the list that they see. In other areas, like for example Nagpur, I have conducted this exact same poll. There about I had a participation of about 105 actually voting in this poll, and we had only about 12% who had voted for 100% perfect system. So that's something encouraging to see at Nashik. Here we can see that about 70% of the team have voted that, or 70% of the participants have voted that they would they're not 100% sure. They might have to do a little bit of cross check to get that 100% confidence. Coming back to the presentation. So say suppose now if you don't know the exact count, and if you ask your if you call up your 3 team members and ask them how many how many monthly GSTR 3B return do we file, and Mr. A and Mr. B and Mr. C, all of them replies with a different number. Some says it is 82, another one says it is 81, another one would say it's 83, because we had one more client which has come earlier. We had filed 82, and now there is another client, and hence it is 83. That means that there is not a single source of truth which all the 3 team members are going and checking and then coming back with the answer. What we need is a system in place where if I ask any team member, the answer will always be same, no matter at what point of time I ask and to whom I ask. And that's what the important point is, having a single source of truth, because then all the team members are going back to that single as the same source and getting us the answer, and hence all the answers will exactly matching. Next. So since in our professional work, we rarely have a liberty to set up our due dates. Most of our due dates are either set up by the law, the current rules and regulations, or it is set up by the client. And so hence chasing the due dates is something not very new for us. We have been doing this day in, day out. But at the same time, the system should allow us to chase the due dates, and we should not be chasing our team members along with that. We should try to implement a system whereby the team members are enabled or they know what is the due dates, what are the tasks that they have to work upon, and that thereby that they themselves start chasing the due date, so that our work becomes a little bit of uh, more streamlined in nature. And here important point is we have to enable our team members and train our team members in such a way that they are themselves able to identify which all things needs all our priority effort, and what should be the uh, sequence in which they should be working upon all the tasks. That's some important. So this is the pitbull stop. So in the racing, so this is the Formula One racing. So during the race, this racing car would come to this designated area where all the other crew members would be waiting for the driver to come here, and then the driver would stop here, uh, and other crew members will basically fill up the petrol tank, or the fuel, gasoline, or whatever thing that they use, and all the four tires will be removed and replaced with the new tires, and this is called as the Formula One pit stop. So now my question to the audience is that how many time, or what's the duration in which the car stops, all these procedure happen, four tires getting removed, four tires getting added, the petrol getting filled up, what's the duration in which the car would just stop, do this, and go away? So back to the poll. What's your estimate? Like how much this time would be? You can just share a rough estimate that what do you feel that how much time it would take. Okay, so a couple of participants have mentioned less than a minute and few minutes. So I'm sure they would be surprised by the next thing that I'm going to show you. And most of the participants have said that 2 to 10 seconds. So let's see how fast this activity is done. So this is the one of the most popular driver and the team as well. So let's see. Uh, we will just be playing 30 seconds or so. The car has halted. That's it. 1.88 seconds. Can you imagine that? Like when I heard this for the first time, I straight away said that it's not possible to do this in less than 30 seconds. Forget about like less than 10 seconds or less than 5 seconds. I was not ready to believe that four tires can be changed, the petrol tank getting full in such a record time. So this is the point that I'm trying to make here is that this is what we call it as a team collaboration. We want to reach this kind of insane level of team collaboration. Don't you everyone agree? If everyone agrees that, then you can just quickly raise your hand, so that in the Zoom we have a concept of adding a raise hands option, so that we'll come to know, okay, how many of them are actively participating and listening as well. No raise hands. None of the participants have. Okay, we have two. Okay, so at least two participants were amazed. And okay, few more. Yeah, I guess I suppose you would be searching for where to raise hands. Okay, so now we have about 6-7 participants raising the hands. Okay, thanks. Um, So what we need to do is the most important point to learn from this, that each and every person in the crew knows that what is his role in that entire pit stop, and they know exactly when to act upon it, and only then they are able to carry out such an amazing quick speed sub delivery. So we need a system where everyone knows what exactly needs to be done and when it needs to be done. For example, when the junior has completed the GST calculation, he need not wait for the senior to complete the review. He can simply pick up the next task and go on completing the calculation. Whenever the next time the senior comes to his desk and starts, um, just a second, I got a message. Can someone just quickly confirm whether my presentation is visible?
Yes, yes, it is
Okay.
Yes,
visible.
sir. It's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that as an example, what we need is that in most of the offices, what we see is that juniors would basically first do the written calculation, and the seniors would then review the calculation what the juniors has done. So in that case, we don't want our juniors to do the calculation and then wait for the seniors to review it and then move to the next task. What we would like to see is that once the task is once he has completed his calculation, he would just inform the senior and move to the next task. Now once the senior is free, once he has completed his other set of priorities and tasks, he would then go on picking up all these tasks which are lined up for his review, and the senior might be reviewing task not just of one team member, but he would have a bigger task list to review of, say, maybe 4 or 5 other team members. So we want that cohesive collaboration between the team members, where one person will basically how you have seen KFC and McDonald's working, right? A burger is fetched, and so each and every team member just does his part, and it just goes on moving to the next assembly line. How these cars are manufactured. So we want our offices also to behave or look like a function like a assembly line, where the team member just looks at it, okay, does his job, moves on to the next person. So seniors will also basically be reviewing the task, mentioning his comments, and if required, calling up the team member to train him that what mistake he has done, complete that, move to the next task for the review. Then the team member who just made a small mistake, he need not connect with the senior team member. He can see the mistake that or the changes that are required from the system, make the changes, and again submit it for review, and so on and so forth. This assembly line goes on, and this increases the efficiency to a very, very high extent. Yes. And moving on, having transparency in the task allocation is also important. This will motivate the other team members, as they don't feel bogged down by the sheer number of tasks assigned to them. So what I meant over here is that each and every team member in the office should at least have a visibility that how many tasks I have, like, as a team member, and how many tasks other team members have been assigned, so that he will feel motivated and not bogged down. Like, so if there are 80 tasks which are pending against my name, and if I just see that, then I might feel that okay, most of the office work I'm only doing it, no one else is given so much of work. But if I'm at the same time also be able to see that others have been given say 105 tasks, 106 tasks to complete in a month, then I will not feel that bogged down. So having that transparency along with the actionables, that will help in the long run. Next, we move on to the efficiency track. Here, what the objective is, that we are able to pinpoint where we are investing more time as compared to the previous engagement or previous time when we had done the income tax return filing. What was the time that we have invested? Whether because of the learning curve we have reduced the amount of effort, amount of time, or is it increasing? Thus, we will be able to identify whether the team members require more training or require some intervention in identifying whether he is doing something wrong, which is increasing the time, or it could be other way around, where the client's work has increased, the amount of effort genuinely has increased. So then this calls for a case of fees renegotiation. Moving on, at the last, we would like to celebrate our goals, as I was mentioning in the previous presentation slide as well. So here we need a mechanism to track the progress made, and more importantly, on a timely basis. We don't want to track progress, say on a week, a month-to-month basis. We would, in our office, need at least a bare minimum progress on a daily, day-to-day basis. So that's something to keep in mind. So having said this all about the system, you might feel that okay, I need to capture each and every minute details about the task, each and minute details about the clients. So no, I am not saying that. It's always in balance between the amount of things that you track, amount of things that you capture in your system, and at the same time balance between the convenience and ease of use. So every extra tracking or every extra effort that we add to the system will basically cost us. Hence, we have to balance between that cost and the convenience and ease of use of the system. And as I mentioned, this is not a perfect science. Today, you might do something in some fashion, and over a period of time let that evolve, and maybe after 3 months or 2 months, if you feel that now maybe the team member has gotten used to this system and adding another tracking system is helpful, go on that, experiment with it, and don't feel that okay, if I do too much of experimentation, it will cause an havoc in the system. No, try doing some small experiments and figure out whether this works for your office or it doesn't work for your office, and then implement in a full-fledged manner. Now we are talking about the security angle of the information system that we are setting into place. So just to pinpoint is that this is also an angle that you have to keep in mind while setting up a system, whether it has the confidentiality parameters in place, whether it has the integrity built into it, whether the team member has the relevant access, that angle. And at the last, and definitely not the least, is the availability. Any system that you place has to have the relevant uptime. And I would suggest that anything having a availability of less than 99.99% is simply not practical in our line of profession. Now, this is something I get asked a lot, and hence I have just put up on the slide itself. Like, what is the most biggest challenge that I foresee when any office implements a system, whenever an office moves to a better system? So, most difficult part is the human angle, and that's for sure. Everyone would agree. And the only solution towards this and to overcome this is training. That's all. So your training, coaching, any word that we can use basically is that we want to coax our team members to use the new system. Without that, nothing gets implemented. If you just expect that you have directed your team members that okay, from next day start mentioning this or start tracking this information in this particular fashion, this is how we'll be moving, without any training, the system would simply not work. So here what we need is a training plan that okay, we will be training our team members on using this system. We will be actually be implementing it on one particular, from this particular point onwards, and then asking a feedback whether it works, whether is there any changes or modifications required, and then go on making it better and better. So that completes the first section, and then we move on to the task management and some practical aspects as well. So in task tracking, what we are predominantly looking here is that or some tips here is that each and every work that we do for the client, we need to track it. No matter how small or big, it has to be tracked, because once we reach our billing section for the day, I'll be even be speaking about how we'll be actually be doing the billing. And let me just touch upon here is that we need to do the billing task wise. Like for example, you would, whenever you're doing a billing for the particular client, you would see that what all tasks that you have done for the client, and then accordingly decide that okay, uh, maybe these all things I have to bill, and these are things I can provide it as a add-on service, free of charge or complimentary. But this is the decision you have to take it at the time of billing. The team members who are basically creating the task, creating the job, creating that assignment, they should never have that question in mind, okay, maybe this will never get charged to the client, and hence I can skip creating the task. That should never happen. As an example, if you have a big client paying you a very handsome amount, and the team member thinks that okay, applying for his digital signature, mm, I of course it has to be done, right? And we have been doing it since ages for that client, but and I can skip creating the task. That should never happen. We should still create that digital signature task. The team member would basically apply for the digital signature, mark the task as completed, and move on. Then at the time of billing, you decide, okay, for this particular client, since we are already charging him so much, this can be provided as a complimentary thing. Next is that in the tracking system, or in your system, give every task, every job a number, because in the next aspect we will be also be covering how you can make most of it by customizing the reports as per your needs. Go on managing the system through multiple Excel files or multiple systems, fetch data from Tally, fetch data from your return filing softwares, all those information. And in order to link everything up, we need to have some kind of a key or some kind of a mechanism that we are talking about this particular job or this particular task. And hence it is important that we give it a number. And at the last, if that particular task demands, dissect it into smaller actions. Like for example, income tax return filing. So you would basically dissect it into, or a better example would be GSTR 3B filing that we have been doing it so often. So you would dissect it into whether the records have been received, accounting entries done, calculation done, and tax paid, and the last one is actual return filed. So dissect into smaller actions if required. And in your office, if you have the review mechanism, so then add that review mechanism. So that could be another action point. If you are talking about, say, audit, which is a large engagement, and it will span across multiple months, and many more team members will be involved. In that case, of course, dissecting these smaller actions is very much important, and there will have many number of line items. Basically, you will be tracking. So enough about the what do you say? The theoretical aspects. Let's deep dive into the practical scenario, how you would actually start managing your practice. Of course, if I would just be talking about theory, you would behave just like this photo here, and you would say like, क्या बोला, पूरे 2 घंटे सब कुछ हवा में ही गया. Exactly, like I did not even learn anything. That's why now going forward in this session, I'll be covering up the practical aspect, like how you should actually be tracking, how you should actually be reviewing, how you should be taking the decision based on that. And here I'm not creating any new data or fudging any data. What I have done is I have just taken some screenshots of the system that I have like me and my dad have been implemented in dad's office, and those are the actual screenshots. And of course, here and there, few numbers here and there, and few names here and there I've done to protect the confidentiality of the client. And I hope that this makes you better understand how the reporting should happen to you, and how your team members also should start thinking on that angle. So let's deep dive, and quickly we can have show of hand, so that I know, okay, everyone is attending and and be able to hear this and enjoying this until now. If we can have a quickly show of hand. Okay, I guess we have more number of participants now. Yeah, 34. Okay, nice. So we have a couple of hands coming up. Thank you. Okay, so we'll carry on. So when you start your day, so this is the calendar um, uh, which will help you to plan your day. And this calendar is not only for yourself, but also from your for all your team member. And of course, depending upon which position that you are, as a partner, I would like to see this calendar for all my team members. As a manager, I would like to see this calendar only for my team. Uh, if I am a junior or a intern or a consultant level person, what I would like to see this calendar is only for myself, because I will be predominantly planning the day for myself itself. So let's see how the thought process would work here. Let me just get the laser. Okay, laser visible. Yeah. So say suppose we are sitting here on 2nd of April. Okay, and today what you could see is that yesterday there was one particular task where we had a target date of getting it completed by first. Unfortunately, we could not complete that. So this is something a backlog of yesterday that I have to complete it today. At the same time, I would also see that, okay, there are 5 tasks which have a due date of tomorrow. So I need to start working upon that and finish it off by today as much as possible. And of course, remaining by tomorrow, because tomorrow is the due date for these 5 tasks. But at the same time, I would not only just focus on these 5 tasks, but I would definitely come up here and see that there is one task which has stuck up, which has a due date of 8th. So maybe I'll just first give up a client a call and identify whether what is the reason for this task getting stuck, and is there any action that I can do in order to make this going. Maybe I can send a reminder to the client, so that by the time I reach Monday morning to the office, the client would have already sent the data, or he would have sent an email, so that this becomes green, and then I can move smoothly. Next, here I would also like to have an attention is that in the last week here, and here as well, I have a lot of tasks which are getting due, like 9 plus 2 plus 6, quite a number of tasks which are getting due. So maybe I can think about that. Uh, is there any few tasks which I can assign it to another team member or take help, or maybe I can start working on this in this week as itself, and accordingly plan my entire few weeks in advance. And here I can see that I have a hearing which has which will be coming up on 24th. So is there any papers or documents that I need to start preparing for to attend this hearing? So now, do you imagine that having this particular calendar will definitely help you into plan your day and never miss out on anything. So you can quickly do a show of hands. Okay, we have, okay. Moving next. Yes. Next, we come to the I would say that the bread and butter of our practice, right? Doing on the taxation, the accounting, the auditing, these angles. So here, the main feature in these kind of services or practices that they have a recurring nature. Where if I've done this particular, say suppose TDS return filing I've done for quarter 1, most likely I will also be doing the next quarter, next quarter, next quarter, all these recurring on a recurring basis. Client will not come to me and ask whether, sir, you will do the return filing for next month or not. He will just simply send the data, and the fees are also predominantly negotiated on these recurring basis as well. So here the important point is that we should never miss on creating that particular task and assigning it to the team member. And these kind of dashboards can help you with that thing. So for example, here what I can see is that for April 2021, I had 61 tasks which got completed, and 2 tasks we have decided that okay, we will not be doing this return filing, and 9 tasks are stuck and 4 are still going on. So looking at just at this, I would know that in the next month what all things I can expect. So if I say suppose in this particular case, I know that because there was new client which has come up, and hence you can see this number 61 going to 62. But otherwise you would see that once I have done the 62 return filing in next, and if I don't get any new clients, the max number of returns that are going to get filed in the next month or getting completed will be restricted to 62, even though if I have more clients here, because unless I first file the return of a previous period, all these things would continue going into stuck. So which is the month that I need to go and do the return filing first, where it is stuck. So I would basically investigate here by investigating why these 9 tasks are stuck, and then go on doing that. And since this is just a demonstration, and hence I'm showing it on this particular dashboard. It's not necessary that you need to have this fancy dashboard. You can even have a pivot table in your Excel sheet presenting this exact same information. The point that I'm trying to make is that this how you would basically take decisions, how you interpret these data, that's more important. And then you can take a judicious call whether this information helps you in day-to-day work. Then you from tomorrow onwards, then you go invest time in creating those dashboards. If you feel that these dashboards are not very much helpful, then you can skip and only pick up only those dashboards which you feel will help you to make these decisions. And an important point here is that whenever you're creating this dashboard, don't think from an angle that only I'll be using it, or me as a partner, me as a proprietor, only I'll be using it. You should always think from an angle that, okay, if I am using it, I would like to see it for the entire office. But if say suppose my team member is using it, my senior is using it, or my manager is using it, then he would like to see this dashboard only for themselves or only for their team, and not for the entire office, because only then it becomes more actionable and pinpoint where the area that I have to focus on. Next is the progress checking. So here, what we have done is we have created a dashboard where I am seeing it for 1st of July till 17th of July, and this is a recent screenshot that I've just taken. So here, what we are basically the objective is to ensure that whether my team members are lagging behind or they are making good progress or not. So let's pick up an example here. So here, this team member has 158 tasks which were opening as of this date. We have assigned during this period, she got assigned more 15 tasks, and during this period itself, but 21 tasks got completed. So that's a good one, because then this are not piling up. In contrast, we can see this example where there were 292 tasks at the opening of this period. 172 tasks further got assigned, and only 104 got completed, and hence 360 is pending. So here, this is a clear case where too much of things are getting assigned here, and hence this pendency will always go on increasing and increasing. So in such case, we need to dig deeper and try to reduce some of the assigned tasks and shift them to another team member. And at the same time, let's take this example where there were 31 tasks at the start, more 14 got added, and only one got completed. In this scenario, we would basically dig deep, and probably we would identify that the team member needs some training, needs some more motivation, needs some hand holding in order to get it completed. And because since this number of tasks that are assigned and that are completed are very small, we most likely will not shift this work to another team member. We would figure out why this is taking so much time, and why the things are not moving, and get this done. So here we can see that just taking these three examples, and this is a live case. If you do this exercise in your office, I'm pretty sure that you would also identify these kind of a trends in your office, where you would say that, okay, few team members are over bogged down, so maybe we'll change some assign some tasks, that some team members are performing good, some team members are not performing good. We need to train them, we need to push them so that they can be best version of themselves. Next, so this one was at the total level for the each team member. Another way of looking at this would be based on the due date. So say suppose it can happen that these new tasks which are assigned, 172 tasks which are assigned, maybe these are the income tax return filing tasks, which we still have quite some time to get it completed. And these 15 tasks which were assigned, these may be, say, GST return tasks, and hence requires immediate completion. And these would maybe a smaller task. And hence, looking at this from a higher level may not give that impact, or whether how much the pressure is. And hence, in order to identify the task allocation pressure or due date pressure, we have this particular dashboard or screen, which basically is that I can select the due date for, as an example, I have selected from 1st July till 17th July. What are the things? Only basis the due date. And then on the left hand side, these are my task categories. So accounting work, GSTR 3B, GSTR 1, GST TDS credit return, like you get the sense, right? IT return filing. Okay, and this there are a few more in the bottom as well, and not seen in the screenshot. And here in the columns I have is the team members. So here, this would basically help me in to identify that how many team members are under pressure. So here I can clearly see that Krutika has a lesser number of tasks assigned to her. Janvi also falls into the same bracket, and there are many tasks which are becoming due because of the accounting work that we have set the due date. So here what we can start doing is uh, first get the things which uh, are really critical and where the due dates are assigned by the government that we have to adhere to. So maybe I will first try to target GSTR 3B and get that done. And here, since you know that GSTR 1 has recently been done, and hence you can see that none of these tasks are in the going state. And all the team members have basically marked the task as stuck, and hence we can see these stuck tasks here. So go on, like identifying these. Okay. And as a senior, what I would like to basically focus upon is that why are these 8 tasks getting stuck? So I would basically deep dive into these 8 cases, or 8 or these 10 cases, and identify what intervention is required and how I can make those tasks not stuck. So that covers the practical aspect of task. Now we'll be taking up a few questions. So yes, and so I will allow participants to unmute. Yes, and ask the question themselves. Yes, please go ahead. You can just unmute yourself and ask the question. No need to raise hand. You can just unmute and ask. Yes, I guess we have. Prashant, you're asking a question? Or Shrikant? Because you're unmuted. Pratik, yeah, just raise the hand. I'll just wait for a few seconds. If you have any question, you can ask, and then we can move ahead with the next section. We'll continue. So in moving on to next, here in this section, what I want to basically share my thoughts and want to cover is on the efficiency, and how do we track our team members' efficiency? How do we calculate the same? And how do we inculcate a sense of filling the timesheet and tracking? So what I mean by timesheet sheet is that we have a mechanism in place to capture how many hours we have invested in a particular task or engagement or the job. And here it's important that each and every team member must follow this. In few offices, what I have seen is that they have a good mechanism where all the juniors and the consultant level team members would follow this practice of filling up the timesheet, but the senior uh, partners or the senior directors or managers, they don't follow this mechanism, because they feel that timesheet is tracking is only for the juniors. So that should never be the case. And we should lead by an example. If the partner or the proprietor starts filling up the timesheet, it will automatically inculcate a sense of responsibility for the other team members, and then they will also start filling up the timesheet. And the idea is not to basically keep tabs on what the person is doing and what the person is working upon. The idea is to estimate how much effort as an organization, as an office, as a firm, are we putting in on a particular engagement, or maybe at the client level aggregated, to identify that which are my profitable clients, which are my non-profitable clients, which are the clients where I need to renegotiate the fees. So that's the object. And of course, if you in your office, if you feel that just hours capturing the hours are not sufficient, you might opt to even capture the time. Like for example, a few offices have a timesheet where they capture uh, not just like 2 hours spent on IT return filing for ABC Limited for 2021. They would also have like from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I did this activity. So that's about timesheet. And then we move on to the quick poll and come back to this. So the question is that do your office have the concept of filling up the timesheet? In case if you have joined late, I'm just sharing the link again in the chat section. Now you can click on this link on your laptop or your mobile, and you can vote. Okay, so I guess we have results here. So, good that we have one office who has a perfect system of timesheet filling, and we have 4 offices who says that currently they don't have it, but they would definitely aspire to start the mechanism of timesheet filling. And something which is much more encouraging is that no offices have voted that they never even plan to have it in future. So the last option goes 0. That's a good sign. And a few offices already taken that initiative of setting up a timesheet. And of course, it's a process that's a journey that every office needs to go through, where something gets implemented, something takes a time to get settled, and then being followed perfectly. So we have 4 offices who have taken that initiative, but still on the path to retrieving it perfectly. So the person, I would just suggest this, unmute yourself and share your thoughts on uh, what are the challenges that you have faced while implementing it, and how did you overcome those? If you could just quickly unmute yourself and share those thoughts. Since it's a like I will not be able to identify who is that person. It's anonymous poll. So anyone would like to quickly unmute and share their thoughts? I guess participants are being shy. Okay, we'll carry on. So this is a kind of dashboard that you would like to see once all the office team members start filling up the timesheet. So you would basically for last 6 months or whatever period that you have, you would like to see this kind of a dashboard where, as an example, let's pick this up for accounting for this particular client. So starting in 2016 here, we can see that the timesheet is not being followed. So we can simply ignore this year. And in 2017, it took us 20 hours to complete his accounting work. In 2018, it took around 30 hours. And in 2019, it took 32 hours. And in 2020, until now, it has already took 40 hours and it is still not completed. And 21 task has just been created. So what does this information or data, what does it tell us? First, it clearly shows an increasing trend in the effort. In just 3 years, the amount of effort has doubled. So this definitely calls for renegotiating the client fee. This could happen because since it's on a year-on-year basis, this is an increasing trend. I would not like to lean towards the inefficiency of the team member. Here, I would like to lean towards that the client business has grown, and hence it's time for renegotiating the fees. And when you sit to renegotiate the fees, you would also like to estimate that how much drastically that needs to be increased. So say suppose if this 40 was appearing as 80, so that would basically be a cause of or basically lead to a significant jump in the fees requirement. But say suppose since this is from 32 to 40, you would basically be seeing a fees increment of maybe in the range of 10 to 15%. And if in the case you have not increased the fees for last 3 years, then in that case what we are seeing is at least 50% jump in the fees, taking 2017 as a base. So these kind of data based or actual information based decisions that you can take, which helps in the increasing the productivity, also increasing the receivables or the billables. And when you once the client comes to your office and if he's trying to renegotiate the fees, and if he's not willing to accept the quoted fees, and if he's open up this kind of a dashboard and try to basically work upon this, they would clearly understand that the effort has drastically increased, and this will give us an advantage or a lead to convince these clients for this. So these can help not only in tracking the efficiencies but also increasing the billables. Another angle that since this has come up, another angle that I want to share over here is that when the client is coming up here, coming to your cabin when you're sitting with the client, and when you open these kind of dashboard, that could be even a little bit of a fancy spurred Excel file, and you are speaking with the client and you're looking at those Excel, and then basically instead of asking the team members each and every smaller details, if you have everything about that client jotted down and kept everything in place, and if you're not just fumbling around trying to figure out कि ये client के लिए अपन ने कब return file किया था, कब क्या हुआ था, क्या, so that increases the perceived value of your service. Then the client would actually start would appreciate that the amount of effort, the amount of work that we do for the client, and this will help you to charge a better fees or command a better premium in the neighboring areas. Even though you might be providing the exact same service, the firm that is just besides you, but having these kind of a perceived value, a better perceived value. If the client feels, then this definitely helps in better bill levels. And this I'm talking from a practical, uh, actually implementing this thing. Another, this is just a numbers that I have put in just to pinpoint an example here. This has nothing to do with the first this presentation. I'm moving to the next presentation where I am now looking at the cost angle here. Just to put my point, I have kept the same client, but it has nothing to do with the previous presentation, previous slide. This is, think of this as a completely new example here. So say suppose if you are presented with this kind of a information, now here instead of hours you are now comparing the cost, or you would basically start moving to a better maturity. So in your office, if you don't have your timesheet, first you will start implementing the timesheets and start comparing the cost, whether the amount of effort has increased or not. Next, as a next maturity model, you don't capture the you don't track it at the hours basis, because if your intern has spent 4 hours for your accounting versus your senior team member spending 3 hours in your accounting, those are not comparable. We cannot simply add up, uh, say suppose all the apples and all my oranges and say that this is the total weight of my fruit basket, right? And then compare it. That will be simply be a wrong calculation. It's a good starting point at least, but this is not the state at which we want to stop. We want to be even more better, and hence this is the screen that I'm showing can help you be a little bit more better, more mature, is to capture the cost. So what we do is we add a factor to that hours and then calculate the hours. So what we are basically doing is, for say suppose if you're intern, you are setting up a chargeability rate of 100 rupees per hour. If you have a third year intern, maybe you set up a chargeability rate of 200 rupees per hour. If you have a consultant who is a maybe a IPC cleared, having a 3-4 years of experience, who is joining, having a BCom with a 5-6 years of experience, a little senior person, then you would basically say that this team member in my office would have a chargeability rate of say 350 or maybe even high as 400 or 500 rupees. And then your partners, or a senior a CA team member, they might have a chargeability rate of 800, 900, or 700, and those gets multiplied. So say suppose for this particular accounting work, my intern has spent 4 hours, so then 4 into 100. My senior team member has spent 2 hours reviewing it, so 2 into chargeability rate of 200. Sum all these up, and that's how this amount is being derived, 3335 or 1100 here. So what does this signify here? Let's take an example of say GSTR 3B here. So here you can see that from a cost angle, we have a relatively simpler cost. So it ranges between 70 to 100. So this is a good figure. But one thing which clearly pops out is this 1294. So what does this mean? Is that generally the amount of effort which is goes into GSTR 3B is similar. But in one case of March 2020, maybe a partner would have sat, or maybe uh, the senior manager had to file this return, and hence the cost of this particular task has shot up like anything. And this will help us to identify that whether the manager is doing the task which he is supposed to do, or he is investing time and effort on the task he is not supposed to do. And this is the next level of maturity that we want as an organization to go towards. That instead of just totaling the hours, we are basically multiplying with the chargeability rate to bring that number to a comparable level and then summing it up. So you can just can have a quick raise of hand as to if we are able to understand this concept of having a chargeability rate and then comparing it. Whether do you feel that this is a better metrics to compare rather than just hours getting added? Okay, we have a couple of raised hands. Okay, we'll continue. So that was about tracking between the um, between one period to another period. One quick note here. In my previous example that I've taken at another office, after the seminar, a couple of days later, he contacted me. He showed me his Excel file, and what he pinpointed me that see in that this Excel file that he had prepared, the hours were having a huge variations between these tasks. So one thing that he failed to mention or observe is that this particular exercise that we are doing is comparing between the period is we are doing it at client level or client wise. So this hours, so say suppose if we are doing this 40 hours, so this 40 hours we are comparing it with the previous same engagement of the same client. That's something you should be mindful of if you're not, if you're trying to create this report in your Excel or any another way. Just mind accounting work between the periods and for the same particular client. Next, we move to how do we keep track of progress that you are making for the particular task. Let's say, so in this particular example, the screenshot, what I've done is I have created a stepper table, and the stepper table basically is my stages. So say suppose I'm doing first stage is to call up the client and ask for the records. So that's my first stage. Then my next stage is to actually receive the records. Next stage would be then be accounting entries to be done. Next stage, unfortunately in the screenshot we don't have that scrolled up version, but on the top then I will have few clients where entries have been done. This is a stepper table, right? So but uh, tax payment is not made, and then finally the actual return filing this way. The point here I'm to make is that uh, looking at this table, you can ask the team members that whether there is any action or not. Like for example, for Azad Shripat, what I would be asking my team members Kajal and Nitya is that we should do a second level follow-up, because the first level follow-up has not resulted into any actions, and hence we have not yet received any records from the client. So I will ask Kajal to call up these two clients again. Next action that I would like to see getting done is that for these clients, from this Prasad to this, all of them have submitted the records, but accounting entries is still pending. So it's not pending with the client, now it's pending with our team members. So then I would try to review that why something is not getting completed. So then this would be on our team members ball, and here this would be basically client's fault because we have followed up with them and still we have not received the records. So here I can quickly ask Nitya, or maybe like in this case Ashwini, Dhanashree, or like this. The most important feature of this particular report is having this stepper table, where you would like to see that which is the task or which is the stage one that is getting completed, first previous stage, versus the next stage which is not getting completed, and hence we have step. And in this stepper table we can get that actions. Next, a more so this is something which we want to aspire and we can achieve, right? Next, what could be even be more amazing is to look at this in a chart view on a time horizon. So here, what we are seeing is that for this July month, what we have done is how we started our July month. So this is the 17th actual screenshot. So we started our July month from 2nd for GSTR 3B, and on the day one we did maybe say 3 or 4 calls to the client for the records, and then on the 3rd we did the predominantly all the calls to the client for to the like almost all 145 clients. We asked them for the records, and here you can see that by the 3rd we were already received maybe 21 or 22 records we have already received, and we have even started doing the records written accounting entries, and hence you can see that one accounting entry has been done itself, and this is the flow that you would like to see. So in your office, if the distance between these two peaks is low, that means that everything is working fine. Like as and when we are receiving the records, we are also able to do the accounting entries. So everything is working smoothly. But say suppose this red line goes on the top and this blue line difference always remains. That means that the rate at which we are receiving the records is not matching with the rate at which the accounting entries have been completed. And hence we are going to face a big issue by the time when we reach near the due date. So these kind of actionable charts can help you to take corrective action at the very start of the month, and need not wait for the end of the month when everything is already in chaos and we are just fighting to get this completed on the due date. So now we can quickly have another show of hands whether you agree that these kind of detailed charts can like help with that. I guess since it's 5:30, I guess I have few more things to cover here, so I'll move ahead without waiting here. Next, I'm on the efficiency angle that we would like to see is the attendance. We would love that our team members reach office on a timely basis. So say suppose if we have our office hours that each and every team member should be at our office at by 10, but you would agree that no office would be able ever be able to say that okay, my 100% of my team members come before the time. That will never be the case. What we also don't want to do is we want to like on a daily basis overstate and every time stretch that why you are coming late, why you are coming late. The team member will simply go on saying that okay, this is the first time, this was the reason, this another was the reason. What we want to basically do is create these kind of reports which are basically more actionable and where the team member can simply cannot refute the point that the team member has come late. Like for example, in this pivot table, what I've done is I have calculated how many days of present, and I have added another column, average in time. So uh, so here I can see that Smriti, which is present for 25 days for the Feb month. Out of these 25 days, uh, almost what's the average in time? So once we start talking about average, that clearly means that even though Smriti would have come one or twice early to the office, but on an average, she's always being late, and she's reaching office phenomenally late. Of an average in time comes to be 11 at 11 past 11 o'clock. So this is a cause of concern. And once we show these kind of reports to our team members, they can simply cannot refute the fact that okay, sir, yes, ho gaya tha, yes, ho gaya. Like this is the truth that we are presenting to them. and this is based on the factual data, accumulated data, and not just one particular situation or scenario. So we come to the second last section for this session, the billing section. And here we'll be focusing on how do we calculate the client level profitability, task level profitability, and a few angles of the billing we have already covered. So this is going to be a shorter section because many of the aspects we have already covered. So let's do the quick. This is the last polling for the day. Let's see if we if the offices have which state of mind. Small kid which is crying, or a confident kid who says that yes, I have the good billing system. So quickly to the poll, and this is the last poll for the day. So the other question is simple, that out of the total outstanding amount which is there, which is pending to be received from the client, how much of that is more than 1 year old? And trust me, if you don't know the answer of whether this is like more, how much of it is more than 1 year old, and if you try to calculate it, you will be surprised to see that you might fall into the bracket of maybe 30 to 50, or even bad would be 50 to 75%. So if you don't know the answer, you can mark the answer any of those 30 to 50 or 50 to 75. Well, I'll just wait for a few more seconds for anyone else who is voting. Okay, I guess that's all. So here, one thing is good, that of course we have a very small sample size to select here, just 4 votes here. But if I want to say that this is a representation of um, the entire population, then something which is good is that none of has marked in this 50 to 75 or more than 75. So then I can say that still the billing is in a decent shape. And what we would love to see is that we fall in this first category, where we say that outstanding is of more than 1 year old is less than 10%, or even like less than 1%. And in order to achieve this, what we need to start doing is start billing on a daily basis. And of course, this may sound a little weird when I say that start doing the billing on a daily basis. By saying that, I don't mean to say that okay, on a daily basis you will calculate kitna hisa hua. Of course, that would definitely depend upon the client agreement that you have done. So say suppose if you're doing accounting, TDS return, ROC, those kind of activities for the client, and you have agreed with the client that you will be doing their billing on a quarterly basis, so then you will continue to raise your bills on a quarterly basis. But identifying which are the bills are to be billed, that activity you will be doing it on a daily basis, and you will not wait for, say suppose I'll be doing all the billing on first day of the month. So then you're already delaying all your billing activities for a period of 1 month, and then doing the billing at the start of the month or at the end of the month. So here I would suggest that first, at the first maturity model, or at the first, if you're trying to improve your billing system, move to your weekly system, where you would say maybe say every Saturday, maybe say post lunch or before lunch, I would spend and calculate which are the bills to be raised, and raise those bills. So that's the first maturity level. We cannot in current times we cannot have a system where we do this activity on a monthly basis. That's simply does not work, or will not work in a long term. So start with a weekly system, um, and have a system of set day, and set the time as well. Don't say that okay, let's do it on Saturday, and just forget about it. Set up a exact system where you would say that Saturday at 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then once you say that, once you set this system, then automatically you would have it in your back of mind, okay, 11 to 1, I do this important activity, and you will automatically reschedule the client meetings, so and so forth. So the client meetings will automatically get shifted before 11 or after 1 o'clock. The next maturity that we would like to bring is that as and when the task gets completed, they get billed, and that should happen on a daily basis. So once your weekly everything is perfect, and if you want to move to the better, even better model, you do this activity on a daily basis. And of course, depending upon the firm size, maybe weekly would be enough for your firm's needs. Next, here what we did was that, do you recall when we are talking about the efficiency calculation, we had mentioned the cost per hour. So using that cost per hour, we have already calculated the actual cost for that particular task. And now say suppose if you are charging client 2000 rupees for that particular task, we can easily arrive at what is the profitability that we are gaining for that particular task. And at the same time, even if for the estimation hours, if we had estimated that this task should get completed in 1.5 hours, and if we have spent 2 hours, thereby that we have overshooted our budgeted hours, this would still be fine as long as we are in the green in the profit area. What this could mean is that we have a junior team member who has just joined the organization, who is trying to do this activity for the first time, and hence the number of hours that are required have been a little bit more, and hence we have overshoot the budgeted hours. But since the chargeability of such a team member would be less, we are still in the green zone for the task level profitability. Now, from a practical standpoint, these task level profitability are good to see, good to have only for your one-time task. What I mean by one-time task is, say suppose scrutiny engagements or audit engagements, say suppose statutory bank audits. In these kind of cases, I would suggest that having track or looking at the task costing or task level profitability makes sense, because at the start of the engagement, you don't have the exact pinpointed effort that you are going to take, and hence whatever fees that we quote to the client is on our past experience and the a good judgment, and hence it's important that we keep tabs on this task costing for scrutiny and these cases. But for the normal bulk of the task or recurring nature of the task, TDS, return filing, income tax, GST, ROC, and these kind of activities that we do on a very regular basis for the clients, calculating this at task level doesn't make sense. The more appropriate option, a better option is to do this activity at the client level. So at least if at the client level we are able to identify that, okay, for this one particular ABC Limited, these are the 8 tasks that we did, and in a particular quarter, and for these 8 tasks we are charging him, say suppose 12,000 rupees for a quarter 1, and during this quarter, what is the how much hours, and then multiply by the chargeability rate, what is the total cost that we are incurring, then you will be able to calculate the profitability at the client level. And this would be a very good state to be in, where we can at least be able to calculate the cost and the revenue at the client level. Here a quick a common question that I get in other seminars on this is that, how do I set up the chargeability rate? If you're doing it in Excel, or like, how do you put against each team member, what is the amount, best way to calculate the chargeability rate per hour? So here my suggestion is that you simply look at the monthly salary of that particular team member, multiply it by 4, and divided by the effective working hours in a month. So say suppose if your firm is working Monday to Saturday, and your office time is say typically 9:30 to 7ish, or 9:30 to 6:30, then in that case, if you feel that on a daily basis we are able to have an good effective working hours of 6 hours, so then you would simply do is 6 hours into 4 weeks into 6 days. So that will be effective working hours. That becomes your denominator, and in the numerator you would simply do monthly salary into 4. That becomes your numerator, and that becomes your chargeability rate. And chargeability rate should be updated on a yearly basis at least. uh, Doing it more often doesn't help too much, because these are just the indicative reports, right? So you always should recalculate the chargeability rate on a yearly basis. So this is how we were talking about the report if you are looking at each task, and if you were looking at particular client level, or like overall for this particular quarter, how many clients were profitable, how much client were unprofitable. So this is something kind of a thing that you would like to see. At the last, let's talk about the document system. Which features that you would like to see, which options we should opt for. And then we'll be taking up a few questions at the end, and then we'll be winding up the session. So first, a most mature organization will always have two file system. First is the working file system, and the next is the archiving file system. So let's talk of these in detail. And these are two separate file systems, and both of them are required. So first, let's talk about the working file system. So in this working file system, all the team members have all the working files saved here. All the team members have editing rights. The team members collaborate on this file system, on this location. Everyone makes the changes as and when required and saves it. What we need in this particular file system feature is that, first of all, it should allow team collaboration. The best would be that if I have opened that Excel file, another one opens that same Excel file, we should not get that, okay, this file is being edited by another team member and hence it is opening as a read-only file. A better will be, it allows real-time collaboration, so that more than one team member can edit the same file and work on the file at the same time. Second is, we don't want version management to be done by the team member themselves. We don't want the team member making the file GSTR 3B calculation version 1, then version 2, version 3, or even bad would be that team members don't know what versioning mechanism to follow, and they would do is GSTR calculation final 2, final 3, final. So we don't want team members to do the version management themselves, but automatically the version management happens. So say suppose if I want to see what was the state of this file 2 days back, so I can just go back to that version and have a look without me myself creating a separate version. In a single file, automatically all the history changes is saved. Next, to a certain degree, we want access control only if you are a larger organization, so that at least department wise I can create some folders and then say that, okay, income tax department have access to these folders, GST department, indirect tax department, like this. So here what we are basically sacrificing is integrity, because all the team members have access to all the files here. So this is something to be mindful of. And since all the team members have editing and deleting rights, availability of the files can be a question, and hence something we have to see. That's why there is a need for a different file system, which we call it as an archival file system. So this is something, a central repository for your organization, for the office. And here the most important feature is the non-destructible nature of the files. Once the file is stored there, only very few select one or two team members in the entire organization would have access to delete the files. And this makes it the main feature of archive file system. And think of this as a knowledge mine as well. So say suppose next time when you are doing another engagement of partnership registration, and if you want to refer what are the clauses that you had added in your previous assignment, then you can quickly refer, go and search the list of all the partnership registration engagements, and identify whether this particular engagement was done for maybe say manufacturing concern, or maybe a service industry. So this becomes a good knowledge mine, because here since it's a central repository, we will basically upload the documents for that particular engagement, for that particular task, clients, like this. And here we are basically able to fulfill all the CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now talking about what are the options that we have for this. So for working file system, if you are looking for cloud options, my suggestion would be the best one is OneDrive, which comes bundled with Office 365 and allows real-time collaboration and a good editing experience. And with that, we also get Office 365, by which we can install Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft, like Word, everything. For just 5,400 approximately, we get licensed version of MS Office on up to 30 devices. Next, another option, if you are not looking for a cloud solution, but you need an on-premise solution which can be accessed by the team members anytime, anywhere, which has all the features which we just discussed, like this real-time access, automatic version control, and high availability. So then my suggestion would be to look out TrueNAS. It's an open source and free software. So all that you need is just one single PC where you can install this TrueNAS solution. And even though it is difficult to install, but once it is installed and it is up and running, it is very easy to use. And in my dad's office, we have been using it for now 7 years, and we did not have a single complaint, and it has been running perfectly fine, like 7 years, nothing. And it has automatically RAID and everything that you would like all the features in your Windows server that you get for free. That's the in smaller sense. And if you're looking for an options for a archival file system, then look no further than practice management soft solutions which are available in the market, which helps you to upload the file to a particular task. All the master files are uploaded to the client, and if you have say audit files which have to be documented subtask wise, so all those features are available in a practice management solution. So now we are almost nearing end to the session. So these are the quick questions that I generally get, like whether in the market, which are the practice management software. So instead of asking me, the best would be the Google. Quickly do a Google search for this term, CA practice management software, and you will quickly get, at least in India now, we have about 10 practice management solution, 10 or 12 softwares which are available, and you can just go check them out. Of course, do check them, at least have a take a demo, see at least couple of them before finalizing one. Next, one tip that I would like to give is on communication. So if you are still using WhatsApp for your internal team communication, then I would suggest that you can move on to the better one, because WhatsApp, we use it for your personal as well as for office work, and hence it will just be a distraction for all the team members. When they are looking for the office message, they might even just go and drift towards looking at and replying to all the personal messages. So WhatsApp is not suited for the office communication. It was never intended, and hence WhatsApp is amazing, but it is never suited for our official communication. And in your office, if we have large groups, and if you are asking that such a big large of groups, what is the status of that particular client, then all the other team members who have nothing to do with that message gets disturbed, and it leads to loss of focus. So for this, my suggestion is that you use Discord, and of course there are other options of Microsoft Teams, Slack. So, and apart from all these features that we have, I've just put it up on the screen. It also allows you to do quick screen sharing, voice and video calls, who are online, offline, like this. Even though Slack is a little bit popular, but Slack free version has some limitation, and hence I suggest using Discord. Even though predominantly both of these are on a similar ground, but Discord free has all the features that a typical CA firm will ever need. So that's the advantage that we get. If you are already purchased business version of Office 365, only if you are using business version, then you can stick to Microsoft Teams. That also has a great features. Thank you. That's all been my time, and thank you for being an awesome audience. That's all. So if you have any questions, we'll be taking them up. We'll spend 10 to 15 minutes on taking up these questions, and then we'll end the session. You can just unmute yourself and quickly ask these questions. No questions? Anyone? Any queries? Okay, I guess that's it then. I'll just wait a couple of more seconds. Yeah, and if you have any questions, do please ask. Yeah.
I think there is no questions, so I request Samiksha to move ahead with the vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you so much, Adarsh sir, for your time and the fruitful session which you have presented. It was really an eye opener. Definitely, I am not into practice, I am into service, but my dad is a practicing CA, so I can definitely use your tips in his service. So thank you for your time and all the efforts you have put in. And I would also like to thank all the members who even on Saturday took out their time and joined us in this session. Thank you everyone for joining the call.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice day, sir.